in my opinion, are the parties who have to actually look to responsible government, because they have in the past and they will in the future, and I think that we need to actually come together and say what's really important here, and this bill is.
Honourable Phil Goff.
Mr Chairman, frankly the last comment from the Minister is straight scaremongering. The same sort of scaremongering that led the National Party in government before the election to attempt to ram through this Parliament without even going to the Select Committee the legislation regarding the surveillance, covert surveillance. The Minister must now surely admit that the National Government then got it wrong. The Select Committee, with a majority of National Party people on, explicitly said that the legislation was wrong and the appropriate balance hadn't been found, and if it wasn't for the Labor Party and other parties standing in the way of ramming this legislation through before the election without any consideration from the Select Committee, then as the Select Committee itself has acknowledged, and Mr Borrows has acknowledged as chair, you would have got it, the government would have got it wrong. The government would have got it wrong because it would not have found that appropriate balance. And another red herring is that somehow that we were accusing the government of instructing or not instructing the police to do an investigation into the Teapot affair. No member said that, Minister. No member. But use your common sense. Why are the police investigating a case they would not normally have wasted their time on? Because the Prime Minister of New Zealand laid a complaint. And are the police going to ignore a complaint from the Prime Minister of New Zealand? Of course they're not. Ask 90% of New Zealanders whether they think that when 21% of burglaries are resolved, that the police should be following up the Teapot affair for the Prime Minister, which was just a media stunt, and they would say, no, the government has its priorities wrong, and the government is asking the police to waste their time when they have far more important things to do. So, Minister, don't come into this House with that sort of nonsense that somehow video surveillance is going to fall over tomorrow, because we are saying you should apply the same laws to the Serious Fraud Office as are applied in this bill to the police. Of course the government should be applying the laws uniformly. The Minister was once Minister of Police. She knows that the cases that they deal with are at least as serious, are at least as complex, and are at least as important as those dealt with by the Serious Fraud Office. So what the Minister has just said is absolutely wrong. And what we've had from the Labor Party tonight is three people that have spoken very eloquently from a legal background as to why we need to change this bill, backed up by the Law Commission itself. And Minister, please tell the House why you think that we should ignore the recommendations of the Law Commission, that the Serious Fraud Office should be dealt with in exactly the same way as the police, that it should be constrained in order to find that very important balance between them having appropriate powers and protecting individual liberties. The Law Commission, after 6 or 7 years of looking at this, came to the conclusion that that should happen, but the Minister is saying that she knows best, and the Minister is rejecting the opportunity to get the overwhelming majority of this House to support an important but contentious piece of legislation because she won't change her mind. And I urge the Minister to think seriously about what she said in her speech, to think seriously about what harm would be done and what good would be done if the amendment being put forward by the Labor Party in opposition were adopted. We would create one law across the agencies in an appropriate way. We would be dealing with the problem that the Law Commission itself emphasised of the overuse by the Serious Fraud Office of powers that are unprecedented in this country compared to any other agency, including the police. Yes, they may have been there 22 years. Yes, they have been overused in recent times, and being there for 22 years was never a good argument for not considering change. We are putting this bill through because some of that legislation, Minister, has been there for 50 years, and it's been proven to be inadequate, and so has that clause in terms of ensuring the proper rights of the media and not having another incident where the Serious Fraud Office can go in and demand the production of documents by an outlet from the news media in a way that challenges the role of the Fourth Estate.
Jamie Lee Ross.
Let the question be now put.
Leanne Dalziel.
Mr Chairman, the Minister